Hi, Crickellectuals. Welcome to another free hit episode where we give you a quick and clean update on what's happening in the world of Pakistan cricket. And between you and I, there's always a lot going on in Pakistan cricket. So let's get to it. First up, we'll talk about Hasnain's performance in Australia these days. He's making a lot of waves. Then we'll talk about Ramiz Raja's recent announcement and the response that it received. We also have an update on Australia's tour of Pakistan. And finally, a little something on the PSL opening ceremony. So first up, Mohammad Hasnain. He's been really impressive in the Big Bash League matches, the T20 matches that are going on in Australia. And so far, his record is 3 matches, 6 wickets, 57 runs, 1 maiden with an economy rate of 5.51 and his best bowling figures being 3 for 20. So Hasnain is having a really good run. Now, this has implications. I'm wondering because Australia is supposed to be visiting Pakistan in March. And given that Hasnain is playing in Australia right now and getting used to the conditions, obviously the conditions are not going to match, but he is getting to play with some of the players that are probably going to visit Pakistan and play against the national team. So my question to the selectors is going to be, and I'm wondering is, what are they going to do with Mohammad Hasnain? Is he going to sit on the bench again, or is he going to get a chance to play against the Australians, especially in the T20 leg of the series? It would make sense that we give him a try and see if he could do anything impressive back home as well. And once again, like I said before, the conditions are going to be different in Pakistan. Obviously, he's used to the Australian pitches. We're not going to get Australian pitches, at least not until we get those drop-in pitches. But for now, we don't have those drop-in pitches, and he's not going to be able to bowl on wickets that are similar to Australian wickets. So in Pakistan, without that much speed and that much bounce, maybe it'll be different. But Hasnain has plenty of experience bowling in Pakistan as well. That's where he initially made his name. So maybe there's a chance, an opportunity for Hasnain there with this impressive record in Australia. Maybe he'll get a chance to be in the T20 side. Next up is Ramiz Raja's announcement on social media. A bit of a premature announcement, unless it was a strategic one, because Ramiz Raja came out on Twitter, on Instagram, and made this announcement about how he's going to propose this quadrangular series between Pakistan, Australia, India, and England. He wants to capitalize on the rivalry that exists between England and Australia, and similarly between Pakistan and India. And Pakistan and India are not playing any games besides, whenever they meet for World Cup every couple of years, every 4 years or so. And given the political climate of the two countries, neither side is going to visit the other anytime soon. So why not have a tournament outside somewhere, either in Australia or in England, and invite other teams as well? So it's not just a high stakes Pakistan India series. It's actually some of the best teams in the world come together, India and Pakistan being 2 of them, and they get to play against one another. Sounds really exciting. Ramiz came out and made this announcement that he's going to bring this up. He's going to propose this to the ICC. Now, he made this tweet before he ever actually proposed it to the ICC. You would have thought the Ramiz is maybe sitting there, with ICC, and like he made this tweet real quick that he's about to make this proposal to them. But it sounds like that's not how it rolled out. So he very early on, way in advance of any kind of official talk, made this tweet. And then later on, there was a response from the ICC CEO, Jeff Allardyce, who basically said that no such conversation has happened. No such plans exist. And Ramiz has yet to give any such proposal to us. So Ramiz basically gave us a heads up that he was about to, and he has, as of the making of this video, made no real tangible attempt to actually make this proposal to ICC. So I'm assuming Ramiz was trying to maybe strategically put this out there and gather some support from the audience. Obviously, all the Pakistani and India fans are gonna be very excited about it. The tweet got a lot of attention. So if that was the goal, Ramiz achieved it. He created this, I guess, energy around the proposal, and that puts some pressure on ICC to take the proposal seriously. I mean, that's our guess. And if that's the case, it's a pretty smart move, but it's also a move that is not going to go very well with, other leaders of the ICC, because it's kind of like Ramiz trying to strong arm them into a series, which again, from our perspective, the Pakistani fans or the Indian fans, it's not a bad thing. We want these games, but it might not go so well with the higher ups in ICC. And those are not the only interesting statements from this week. In other interesting statements, we have 2 Australians talking about the Pakistan tour coming up in March. As you all know, Australia is expected to be in Pakistan. And right now, things are looking kind of like a mixed bag. We don't really know if it's going to happen. Everyone assumes it's going to happen. But at the same time, there's that little bit of fear in my heart, and I'm sure in some of yours, that Australia might not come. Now, it doesn't feel great to have that sort of fear, but that fear is made worse with some of these statements. So the first one of these statements comes from the Australian captain, the test captain, Pat Cummins, who said, and I quote, "Still a bit of work through, but at this stage, it's all looking really positive. The amount of work the PCB has put into it is fantastic. It's shaping up as I think just about everyone, if not all, will go." So even though Pat Cummins himself sounds pretty positive about this, it sounds like there's clearly a division within the Australian squad as to who wants to go and who doesn't want to go. So he's saying he thinks just about everyone, if not all, will go. To me, that's a bit of euphemism for, well, we're not sure who's going to go. All right. So he's framing it positively that there's a bunch of people who are ready to go. We also know that one of the players is supposed to be getting married during this window of time when Australia is supposed to be visiting Pakistan, but we don't know if any of the other players from the team is going to be attending the wedding, and if that is going to be an excuse for not sending their top tier team or their top strength team, because that would be the other bummer. If Australia does come, we're hopeful that they'll send their best team possible and not some second strength bench team because everybody else was attending a wedding or just felt that the safety measures were not good enough for them. But that wasn't the only statement made. That was the better one of the two. But the second statement comes from Mitchell Starc. He was asked about the tour, if he's going or not, and his response was this, and I quote, "We had a bit of a briefing the other day about the upcoming tour to Pakistan. I think it gives time for all players to process that information. Obviously, we've got a test match this week to play in and perform in, and then we'll move on to what happens next." So in other words, he's kind of dodged the question. The question was about, wait, are you confirming that you're going to go? And he's like, well, we just got a briefing, and we're going to need some time to kind of process all the information. So we're thinking about it. But meanwhile, we're really focused on this test match that's happening right now. Okay. Doesn't sound promising, especially if you're a Pakistan fan. I know I'm laughing, but I'm laughing at the silliness of it all. As a Pakistani fan, I'm just starting to not assume that they're going to come. Now, again, I hope and pray, inshallah, that they'll come and it's going to be a wonderful series. But some of these statements are definitely concerning, to say the least. Last but not least, in our stories today, we have a comment from Akib Javed, who was asked about PSL anthem. Now, I don't understand, some things that go on in our media in Pakistan. They have, I guess, not enough to report on cricket, and they have PSL going on, and PSL typically it starts with a big, massive ceremony with lots of music and entertainment and all kinds of stuff, and it's great. But right now, as we all know, if you haven't heard, there will be no big ceremony for the opening of the PSL. Instead, what might end up happening is during the first game, it sounds like they might do a little bit of music and a speech. Besides that, there's not much planned to go on because of the COVID protocols and all of the stuff that is involved in terms of logistics. They're just not going to be able to figure that out in time. And so they've canceled the actual ceremony that traditionally takes place at the beginning of PSL. But in the Pakistani mainstream media, obviously the main thing that they're talking about is who's going to be the singer for the PSL anthem. Apparently, this is what we care about the most, I guess. So Akib Javed, always straight shooter. I really like Akib Javed more and more the more I hear him speak, because here's what he said, and I quote, "PSL anthem is plain waste of money. Nobody wants to see singers, but now fans come to watch babarazam, Shaheen Shah Afridi, and other cricketers in action. There's no bigger star than the cricketers. People don't come before the matches to see the singers." I couldn't agree more. But, when I look at some of the social media stuff going on, like everyone is talking about this. And there's this whole big thing about who's going to be the lead singer. Is it going to be Atif Aslam or Ali Zafar? Now it's Atif Aslam. It's like a big deal. But, that's not what PSL is about. So I totally agree with what Akib is saying. We should pay less attention to the sing-songy before and after of the PSL, and we should pay more attention and be more excited. And I think we are about the actual PSL games, which begin in the end of January. So looking forward to those games. Stay tuned. We have our YouTube channels where we're putting out content specific to PSL. We'll also put those episodes up on our audio only podcast, so you will get to listen to them, but for the full experience with the images and all of that good stuff, you should definitely check out the YouTube channel at Crickellectuals. Go to crickellectuals.com and you'll be able to see the videos there as well. Make sure to subscribe and also follow us on social media at Crickellectuals. And until next time, this is your host Jay signing out. Peace.